A depiction of ancient Roman pizza has recently been unearthed in Pompeii. But is it really pizza? Well, kind of, and kind of not. Either way, I am going to do my best to recreate this 2,000-year-old dish long buried beneath the ashes of Mount Vesuvius. So thank you to Babbel for sponsoring this video as we
I'm not gonna lie, that looks good. I'd try this.
This time on Tasting History.
I would try this. I'm not gonna lie. This kind of looks good. I would try this.
So just a couple weeks ago, archaeologists working in Region 9 of Pompeii uncovered this fresco showing a silver tray with a leavened flatbread with toppings, along with assorted fruit and a goblet of wine. Now, the style of this painting is called xenia, which comes from the Greek word that referred to a sort of social contract between hosts and guests.
This is where I dated myself by saying, do you remember Xena Warrior Princess?
Okay. And the ancient Roman author Vitruvius wrote about this style of art in the 1st century BC.
Half of Max's recipes are mouth-wateringly good, the other half are just bizarre. Oh no, Bo, I agree.
They began providing dining rooms, chambers, and storerooms of provisions for their guests. And on the first day, they would invite them to dinner. This is why artists called pictures representing the things which were sent to guests xenia.
Interesting.
So even 2,000 years ago, there was art history. So figuring out exactly
y'all remember the garum from last time.
The archaeologists are fairly certain on some things like the wine, bread, pomegranate, dates, and the fruit of the strawberry tree, or corbezzolo, which is the national tree of Italy, and despite its name has nothing to do with strawberries. But then there are also some more less obvious things like these items in front. Some have said that they look like mushrooms, though based on the art style, it's probably more likely that they are some sort of nut, but who really knows? Now, when it comes to the pizza and its toppings,
sort of nut.
It's kind of anyone's guess. Maybe that's cheese, maybe bits of fruit? What's definitely missing is tomatoes, as those wouldn't even show up in Europe for another 1,500 years.
That's also
true, and if there was cheese, it's very unlikely that it was anything like today's mozzarella. So while it may have some of the hallmarks of a pizza,
I need to get my soundboard set up for chat or for streams.
Now, some scholars have suggested that one of the ingredients that probably is on this bread is sort of pizza-like, insofar as it is a kind of spreadable cheese, and that was called moretum. So that's what I'm going to be making today. Now, there are several ancient recipes for moretum, one of which includes pine nuts and is probably the precursor to pesto.
I was about to say, yeah, no, if that contains pine nuts, that's got to be like ancient pesto. Chat, now I'm really interested in this. Now I'm really interested to see where this goes. Now I'm really, really interested to see where this goes. Have a good night, Daxon. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. Have a good one, buddy.
Favorite recipe actually comes from a poem, because if you've watched this show, you know I love recipes in poetic form. The poem, often attributed to Virgil, is called fittingly moretum, and is really quite...
Wait. So the poem is by Virgil. How motivated was he? How motivated was he? Sounds powerful. Is he the storm that is approaching, chat? Is he the storm that is approaching? Odin, shush, cease, stop that. Stop that, Odin.
Quite long, so I'm just going to read the parts that are recipe-like. Digging in the earth, he pulls up 4 heads of garlic.
That's a lot of garlic.
He desires the parsley's graceful foliage and the stiffness-causing rue, and trembling on their slender thread, the coriander leaf. And when he has collected these, he sits before the fire and loudly asks his wench for the mortar. The garlic bulbs he rinses and strips, then...
His wench. Okay, sure, go on.
Throws into the hollow stone. On these he sprinkles grains of salt, and cheese is added. Then he introduces the herbs.
Why did Autobot flag wench?
With the pestle breaks. Then everything he crushes all alike.
Why did Autobot flag wench?
His hand in circles moves until the ingredients lose their separate colors. And out of many colors comes one, neither wholly green nor shining white. Then drops of Athena's olive oil he adds, and pours a little of his sharp vinegar, and again works the mixture together. Like I said, there's a lot more to it, sometimes with erotic undertones, but that is the recipe portion of
I'm sorry, with what? Huh. Yeah, no, that's what I thought you said. Okay, moving on.
There's a lot more to it, sometimes with erotic undertones, but that is the recipe portion of the poem. Now, something interesting is that the motto on the United States Great Seal, E pluribus unum, from many one, comes from this poem.
Really?
Of course, instead of referring to 13 colonies becoming one country, here it refers to the different colors of ingredients being combined to make a new
Interesting.
color. So a little different.
Yeah.
And it's always
Gotta
interesting
love those erotic
how
undertones.
language can do that, you know, really be used in very different ways. Same language, very different meaning.
Yeah, no worries,
German
Doc.
has a lot of these
Do what you gotta
words
do.
and
I appreciate you
phrases,
stopping by,
Kummerspeck,
regardless.
which literally means grief bacon, but refers to the excess weight.
I'm sorry, rewind. I'm sorry, rewind.
Very different meaning. German has a lot of these words and phrases, like Kummerspeck, which literally means grief bacon, but refers to the excess weight that
what's
you put
going
on?
How you doing, man?
Eating. And
How are
I'm
ya?
learning different idioms like that with a little help from today's sponsor,
Unbelievable.
Babbel is one of the top
Grief bacon, that's what... No. Odin. Odin.
This is how you make it. You'll need 2 small heads of garlic, and I know he says 4, but I'm guessing he's making a massive amount of this because 2 is going to be very
2 is
garlicky.
enough.
A large
2 is
handful
enough.
of parsley, a large handful of cilantro or coriander leaf, a small handful of rue, if you can find it. It's not something you're going to just be able to pick up at the store.
I was about to say, what is
I'm
this?
growing it in my garden, so I do have some fresh rue.
Oh,
you can
I
get
see.
the dried kind online. I'll put a link to that in the description. Though, if you or anyone going to be having this is with child, do not eat the rue. It is not good. In fact, if you just don't want to have
What is rue? I am curious now. What is this stuff? What? Common rue, like R-U-E. Common rue or herb of grace is a species of genus Ruta, grown as an ornamental plant and herb. It is native to the Balkan Peninsula. Okay, but why do pregnant women should not eat rue? Why is that? Oh! Can cause cramps, drowsiness, or dizziness. Rue is likely unsafe when fresh leaves or oil from the plant are used. Ah! I see. Huh. That, okay then, understood.
at all or you can't find it, just use celery
Understood.
leaf. It's similar. 1 teaspoon of salt, 10
Rue
ounces
is a
or
medicinal
280
culinary
grams
order that
of
can cause
white
miscarriage.
cheese. I'm using fresh
I
sheep's
see.
cheese. That's hard to say. Fresh
I
sheep's
see.
cheese.
Okay.
But you can use any kind that you want. He's not that specific, but it does need to be white because he is
Sponsorship from Big Rue
Then
TM.
1 tablespoon of olive oil and 1 tablespoon of white wine vinegar. So first,
Nice,
peel your
Aegis,
garlic
nice.
and chop it up, then chop your herbs. And then he says to crush the garlic in a mortar. But he must have had a huge mortar because just those 2 cloves half filled up my mortar. So I very quickly switched
I was
to a
about to say food processor.
and I suggest you do the same. Then add the salt and the cheese. There is no way this amount of cheese would have ever fit in my mortar.
Oh,
then
I
add
love
in the
bacon.
herbs and blend until, as he said, the white of the cheese and the green of the herbs have become one. E pluribus unum. Finally, add the olive oil and the white wine vinegar and blend until smooth. Then set that aside as we make our bread.
That's
now,
not bad.
Exactly what this bread is
not bad.
very
That
hard
looks-
to tell.
that
But
looks good.
It does seem that there is a depiction of it without toppings in another fresco from Pompeii. And it looks as if there's maybe some sort of trench running around just inside the edge of the bread, possibly to keep the food from falling off, like a pizza crust.
Oh
Those
my
breads were
God.
sometimes called
It does look like
mense, or
pesto, doesn't it,
singular
Zags?
mensa,
Yeah.
and would be similar to the trenchers of the Middle Ages. They were just there to kind of hold your food like
trenchers.
a plate.
Yeah.
It means table. Mensa meant table. And these tables are referred to in another Virgil poem called the Aeneid. In it, the hero Aeneas is given a prophecy that he will establish a new city, but not before a deadly famine has come upon you. And the guilt of our blood drives you to gnaw round the edges of your tables, to put them between your teeth and eat them. We'll flash forward, and he and his men are now in Italy, and they're eating a rather meager meal of some fruit piled atop bread, and then they start eating the bread,
y'all are down
and Aeneas
horrendous.
realizes, look, we are eating even our tables. This is our home. So in a way, Italy was founded through the eating of pizza. Now, to make this version of ancient Roman pizza, what you'll need is 1 cup or 250 grams of
Otherwise known as the most successful fanfic ever. Thank you again for another 100 biddies, Kingfisher. I appreciate that, buddy.
Either will work. 2 cups or 475 milliliters of warm water. 4 cups or 500 grams of whole wheat flour. 3 tablespoons of olive oil. 1 tablespoon of salt. And 2 tablespoons of honey. Start by whisking the salt into the flour, and then add your starter and the water. Combine these until somewhat incorporated, and then add in the olive oil and the honey, and work the dough for 2 to 3 minutes until everything is well combined. Note that you are not going to be kneading this dough like you would a traditional bread, because you don't want it to puff up too big. It's almost focaccia. Once it's become a nice cohesive dough, put a little bit more olive oil on the top and coat the dough. Then set a damp cloth on top and let it rise. And you want this to rise rather slowly.
How you doing, friend?
It's going to kind of depend on how active your starter is.
Howdy.
At least 4 hours up to overnight, like 10 or 12 hours would actually be preferable. But it'll probably need to be in a cool place to do that. In the refrigerator.
Comey, I'm shouting you out and you can't stop me.
Eventually, it will double in size, and then don't.
Comey, I'm shouting you out and you can't stop me. Everyone, go follow Comey whenever you get a chance. They are wonderful. They are wonderful. They are a good friend of mine. I told you, Comey, you can't stop me.
And you can make one giant pizza, but according to the mosaic, it looks like it's
you can't stop me, Comey.
Pan pizza. So I divided my dough into fourths and then formed those into circles. And you can use your fingers to make that sort of trench around the edge of the circle. And then put a little bit of olive oil in there to keep that part from rising as much as the rest.
Okay, that's not bad. I want to try this now.
Mimic that ancient Roman
I want to try this now. Hold on.
Put it on a hot pizza stone in your oven. Either way, you're going to heat the oven to 500 degrees Fahrenheit or 260 Celsius.
Love you too, Comey. Thank you.
That round piece of dough and set it on the stone. Now, I very quickly realized that my ability to move round dough from one place to another into the oven is lacking. So I quickly started putting some parchment underneath the dough, just better to transfer it.
Yeah.
Then you can bake it for like 2 minutes.
You're better off just doing that.
And then the parchment will just come right out.
Oh no, Zax, I'm hungry too, trust me. Yeah, this is making me hungry.
And while it finishes in the oven, let us look at what else the archaeology of Pompeii can teach us about ancient
history
Roman
time,
baking.
chat. I love that transition. It's so good.
A cloud from the mountain was ascending. My uncle was now so close to the mountain that the cinders, which grew thicker and hotter the nearer he approached,
I just ate. Spoilers, Comey. You're probably gonna get hungry again.
Pumice stones and black pieces
At the rate we're going, you're probably gonna get hungry again.
The courtyard, which led to his friend's apartment, was so nearly filled with stones and ashes that if my uncle lingered any longer, it would have been impossible for him to have made his way out.
You're eating pizza as you watch this? That's appropriate, Kingfisher. Hell yeah.
Uncle Pliny the Elder
Hell yeah, dude.
died a victim of Mount Vesuvius.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
He had gone there to save some friends of his who were trapped and could only get out by sea, and being the commander of the fleet in the area.
I mean, that would be the safest way to get out of Pompeii at this point, yes.
Pliny the Elder did escape that villa as it filled up with ash and pumice, but he died soon after on the beaches from noxious gases coming down from the mountain. But little did he know that that ash that was burying his friend's villa along with the cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum,
that sounds great, son.
That ash would also preserve those places better than perhaps any from the ancient Roman world.
Yeah.
Cold comfort to him, but
I've been to Pompeii. I've been to Pompeii twice now. It is
so much about ancient Roman life.
It's actually a really neat place.
To its brothels, to of course.
Like, okay, I've been to Pompeii twice now. It is a really neat place to visit, but it is a very sombering place to visit because you realize, wow, a lot of people did not make it. Holy shit.
Food. And speaking of brothels and food, hic habitat felicitas. Here dwells happiness, sometimes translated as here dwells good fortune. And those words are inscribed along with, of all things, a phallus, and then hung above not a brothel, but a bakery. Because happiness indeed, bread is good fortune. Bakeries, or pistrina, are all over the archaeological sites.
I have no words, chat. I have no words. I have no words.
At Pompeii and Herculaneum, about 35 having been found so far. One of the most famous is the bakery of Modestus, which, when excavated in 1862, included 81 loaves of abandoned bread. The baker having fled the city with his baking still in.
Who the? Chat. Which one of you generous motherfuckers? Which one of you generous motherfuckers hit my throne just now? Which one of you generous motherfuckers hit up my throne? Oh my god, y'all. What? Which one of you generous motherfuckers hit up my throne? What the? Which one of you motherfuckers hit up my throne? Because I have a throne. If you don't, okay, rewind. If you don't know what throne is, it's a way that you can donate to content creators via what's known as a throne wish list. I just got an email that somebody bought something off my throne wish list. And like, oh, what did somebody buy me? They bought me, give me a second. They bought me because this is something I've needed for a while, actually. A 10.5-inch cast iron grilling pan. So like it's got the raised ridges so you can like grill. So like, oh my god, guys. Guys, thank you so much. Y'all are wonderful. Thank you.
In progress. These loaves were the panis quadratus, perhaps the most famous bread of ancient Rome, which is depicted on several frescoes from Pompeii and is made of 8 sections formed by 4 lines.
No, I'm going to take good care of it.
And I did an entire video on
Zags,
this
I swear,
bread
if that was you.
way back when I first started the channel. It was just a few months in, so I'll put that. And
Son,
no,
no,
the fact that I'm pretty
stop.
Sure I have no
I'm bonking you. I'm bonking you.
Now, another famous bakery is that of Popedius Priscus,
right.
And it's because his mill room, where he has his giant millstones, is so well preserved. He had 4 large millstones made of basalt lava, and these were usually turned by donkeys. There's actually an ancient Roman poem called The Golden Ass by Lucius Apuleius Africanus.
I'm sorry. I know ass is an animal. I know. But that name, okay? The Golden Ass. I'm sorry. I have a mind of a 12-year-old. Jesus fucking Christ.
That describes this process. The poem is about a man who happens to get turned into a donkey, and then it's his first-person narrative of life as a human turned into a donkey. And at one point, he gets sold
the golden ass touched my Midas himself.
Walks into one of these rooms with the millstones. There, numerous beasts endlessly turned millstones of different sizes, not only by day, but all night long. The ceaseless turning of the wheels perpetually made flour. I was harnessed to the largest wheel, my head covered with a sack, and I was given a shove along the curving track. There are occasions where it was people doing this back-breaking work, though
those
usually
poor
the
asses.
stones would be quite a bit smaller. Either slaves or the impoverished people who would just do anything for any kind of work. Even one of Rome's most famous playwrights, Plautus, was reduced to doing this work after he lost all of his money in a shipping accident. He would take a hand mill, a quern, and go door to door asking people if they had any grain to be milled. But regardless, once your grain was milled, you could make it into dough. And at the bakery of Popedius Priscus, this was done in the next room over, where he had massive mechanical paddles that would do the kneading. At this point, I take that job as long as I'm getting paid for it. And other large bakeries, there was almost nothing done by hand except for the shaping of the loaves and putting the stamp on them. These were sometimes called signaculum, and were like putting a logo on your product, but less for advertising and more for quality control.
It's a workout.
Especially if it was bread that you were really proud of. You didn't want other people's inferior bread to be confused with your brand. So you put your stamp on there and say,
even back then, it was all about branding, chat. Even back then, it was all about branding.
Very, very important, not only for your business, but it could even get you into public office.
You don't say.
There are numerous pieces of graffiti in Pompeii that are endorsing people for public office. And one says, "I beg you to elect Gaius Julius Polybius to the office of Aedile. He gives good bread." Other election graffiti in the city include
Whoa!
Aedile. He gives good bread.
There's that could go so wrong. That could go so wrong if you're a few letters off. Oh no. But like, okay, imagine, chat, imagine if people resorted that. Imagine if people resorted to that today. Like, fucking, imagine like political slogans stamped onto a fucking bread loaf. Holy mother of God. That is insanity. I hate this guy's politics, but he makes a damn fine loaf of bread. Warlock, it was you! Dang it! Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Bread was power back then. No, bread was absolutely power back then. It was a status symbol. It really was.
Other election graffiti in the city includes endorsements like the chicken vendors request that you elect Epidius and Suetius as duovirs. And of course, the city's bakers and millers got in on the endorsements as well, because together they were very strong and influential groups, almost like trade unions of the day. And that really reminds me
a lot of sense, actually.
Wonderful scene in the first
that actually makes a lot of sense.
The show Rome.
The Guild of Millers uses only the finest grains, true Roman bread for true Romans.
Just like this true Roman bread that should be ready to take out of the oven.
Okay.
So once baked, remove the bread and make sure it's got a nice color on the bottom, and then let it cool just for a moment before you spread your moretum on top. Remember to use just a little bit because it is very, very garlicky. My entire house smells like garlic right now. Then you can top it with things like white cheese, dates, pomegranate, or whatever else you thought you saw in the fresco. And here we are, the pizza of Pompeii. Now again, they probably would have just taken pieces off of here and just eaten them.
That looks good, Chad. Hold on.
At first, take a date or pomegranate or whatever and eaten it, and then
that looks really fucking good. Actually, wait, yeah, no.
But I did a little slice just cause. Why not? Here we go.
This looks good. I also fucking want pizza right now. God.
So garlicky. Like, to the point of spiciness when you have so much garlic, but it's actually delicious, but it is garlicky. I actually want to just try the bread because it does kind of overwhelm. I put too much garlic on there. Or not too much garlic, too much of the moretum.
Now, a lot of people say that
bread is so
you can't put too much garlic on things.
True Romans.
And to those people, you know what I say? It's okay to be wrong.
But I also think that, like, if you have it with other things,
it's okay to be wrong.
I'm trying to grab a. I've got some cheese on there, the moretum, and some pomegranate. That sweetness cuts through. That's the way to do it. Now, one thing that you'll notice is not on this is that ancient Roman condiment, garum.
No.
But
Max, not everything. Max, not everything needs garum. Please stop. Not everything needs garum, Max.
Making the long version of garum. It is currently in my backyard.
Oh no, there it is, chat. There it is. Oh no.
It's slowly digesting
there
itself
it is.
Fish in salt. So that video will probably be out in the fall, I'm thinking, because it does need a couple
we've
more.
already watched his garum video. It is insane. We've also watched the video where he makes something with the garum, which surprisingly was not bad? Question mark. Max making a cake. Let's add some garum to it. No.